Hi, Part Ones. I just wanted to do a little wrap up on morality and sacraments. You were just about a week away from the close of this course, so most of us should be in faith, and some of us have finished. So congratulations to those who were able to work ahead and wrap up the course early. And for those of you who are trying to get caught up, please do so in the next week, and I'll send an email out regarding what will happen if you don't finish up. Okay. But in the meantime, let's just kind of put a closure to morality and sacraments. Morality is really something that is misunderstood by a lot of Catholics, and I'm hoping that the information that you read has given you some clarity. From what I've read from your post, it sounds like you've learned a lot, and it's really important because we as Catholic educators really need to be able to communicate the moral teachings of the Church to our young people and to our fellow colleagues who don't understand it as well. Just the other day, I had a staff member talking about an issue in the church about, I think it was about gay marriage. I don't know, there was a bunch of topics we were talking about, and they thought, well, I thought the church taught this. And it's like, well, no, they don't. And so we are misinformed. We are very much, in general, I think the Catholic population is illiterate in terms of our own faith story and our teachings. It's unfortunate the way our church is set up. Most people don't go beyond their confirmation in terms of formation. We as Catholic educators are lucky because we're forced into an additional formation. And that's why I love teaching this course when I hear the surprise in the conversations about what people have discovered about the church and didn't know this, and wow, I didn't know we could do this, or this is what the church taught. And there's this sense of excitement and passion. And somehow we need to spread this out into the greater population of our Catholic Church. Anyways, big project. Don't know how to do that right now. I'm just focusing on Catholic educators, and so it always warms my heart when you guys are tuning in and really aligning yourselves with church teaching, because church teaching makes sense, right? If you really stop and think about it. So let's look at some of the moral teachings of the church. And, people always tend to think the church is the big party pooper. Oh, you can't do this, can't do that. Well, why do they say that? And what we have to remember about the church's teachings about morality and ethics is that it is concerned with the dignity of human life. That is the starting platform. And everything springs from that. And the church is going to take careful care to make sure that the dignity of human life is not violated in terms of decisions it makes, and it's going to watch the greater society and challenge society when the dignity of human life is being violated. And that's why people get really upset about the church. Oh, they're not progressive, they're not allowing us to do our own thing. Well, our own thing, or the thing that we think is good for us, may not be so good for us, and consequently for someone else, because it's hard to not affect someone else by making your own decisions. We don't live in isolation. So it's simple. Like I always use this as sort of an example, something very simple as pressing the snooze button in the morning. Because we're created as decision makers, and this is where the church comes in to help us become better decision makers. So I always use this as an example when I teach this, so I'll use this with you guys, okay? So you wake up in the morning, the alarm goes off, you hit the snooze button. How many people have done that? 1,000,000 times in one morning, And some mornings you can jump out of bed and get going, and some mornings it's snooze, snooze, snooze. Okay. Seems very, very, insignificant in terms of the day and your life and all that. But it could have really huge repercussions throughout the day. Because if you get up, pressing that snooze one too many times, you're late, you're frustrated. Now, oh my gosh, I'm going to be late for work. If you have a family that lives in your house, you're going to impact their morning because you're going to be stressed. You're not going to be gentle with them. You're going to be like yelling at people, come on, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Okay, so there's one level of impact in terms of simple decision, snooze button. Get out of the house, okay, chaos. You get into your car, you're driving. You got less time than you normally do. You're watching the clock. You're driving with stress. You're making decisions at every stoplight. If it's green, obviously you get to go through. But if it turns yellow, when you're stressed, your decision between do I stop, which you should do, Or do I take that chance and go through into a light that's turning into red? Okay, so let's say you fly through that light, nothing happens, thank God. But there's always that possibility that you are going to put yourself at risk at creating an accident. And the word accident is actually not a good word, because it's not an accident when you make those decisions. You have made a decision to go through a light that's telling you to hold on a second, stop, or be prepared to stop. Okay? An accident is when a tree branch kind of falls down out of nowhere and hits your car. So it's the same thing with drunk driving. It wasn't an accident if someone decided to drink and keep their car keys and then make that decision that they're going to go home because they have their car keys on them when they don't have the capacity to make that wise decision of taking a taxi. So again, I'm just kind of trying to show you human nature and from the most minute decision that we might think in terms of pressing the snooze button, to drinking and driving, keeping your keys while you're drinking, to issues of even our sexuality. You know, we think, oh, this is my body, I should be able to do what I want to do with my body. Well, yeah, to a certain extent, but also God created us with the incredible power to be co-creators. God made us co-creators with God. God created life. God designed us and our bodies in order to create new life. That's huge. We often don't think about that. We just think about our own sexual pleasure and our own sexuality and, how it's going to make me feel or what I'm going to do in terms of my own pleasures, in terms of my sexuality. But our sexuality is an incredible gift that God gave us. One, for our own pleasure, obviously, that is without say, it's part of the design of the human person and what God gave us as a gift, Also, in terms of our sexual identity, that's another topic that's too big right now to talk about, but it's huge. And then in terms of being able to create life, part of that whole creation of us and the capacity of us being loving individuals and is to create new life and to create new life out of love, and when we start talking in terms of that, that's huge. That's a huge responsibility. Of course the church is going to have something to say about that. Of course the church is going to try to guide us. Of course the church is going to try to teach us to use that sacred gift that God gave us in terms of our sexuality and to be cognizant that we have the potential to create human life. And in that potential to create human life, we have to make big decisions. I always say, whether you're 13, 23, 33, 43, 53, however long you can be, sexually procreative, you have to ask yourself when you have sex, am I ready to make a decision for another life? Is there a chance that if I get pregnant, or, the two people that are involved in this, if there's the chance for a child to be created, are we ready to take care of this life? Are we ready to give it life? Because that's huge too, right? People make the decision, well, we'll just terminate the pregnancy, as if it's a thing. We have that incredible power that God gave us. So when it comes to making moral decisions, you guys have read a lot about it, but the catechism is huge. Anything that you want to know about the church, what does the church teach? Here it is. You can go to this. And in terms of conscience, it talks about formation of conscience. Formation of conscience is huge, and this is one of the dividing factors between people who are really not aligning themselves with Vatican II. Vatican II gave the laity power. They empowered the laity, and part of that is the decision-making process. Like, decisions are no longer this way or that way. There's not two clear lines. With the formation of conscience in Vatican II, there's a lot of gray areas, and a lot of people have a hard time with that. So that's part of the issue why Vatican II has not really fully been, don't have my Vatican II book here, into play, and people still are not totally 100% aligning themselves with it. But in the catechism, it talks about formation of conscience. So when you talk about your conscience as a Catholic, you're not just talking about conscience, you're talking about your formed conscience, your informed conscience, which means you've prayed about it, you've done the research, you've talked to people about it, your family, your friends, your priest, or someone that can give you a religious perspective and help you understand what the church is teaching and understand the church teachings in that formation process. And then ultimately in the Catechism at 1782, it says man has the right to act in conscience and in freedom so as personally to make moral decisions. So it actually tells you you can follow your conscience, but it has to be an informed conscience, and that takes work. And that's where a lot of people have problems with the whole teachings of the church and the morality and ethics. It's not an easy thing. It takes work, it takes reflection, it takes prayer, it takes research. It's huge. You can't just say, oh, my conscience tells me that this is okay. That's moral relativism. When you make something okay because you think, oh, that's okay for me. We cannot reduce Catholic morals and ethics to moral relativism, and that's what a lot of people have done, and that's where the issue is in the church about, you know, the idea of the formation of conscience. People have taken formation of conscience and turned it into moral relativism. That is the part that is dangerous. So just think about this as we close this section on morality, that we are decision makers. God gave us this incredible gift of free will, this incredible gift of our own sexuality, of being able to think and discern. And from the moment we wake up and hit that snooze button to the moment we go to bed and set our alarm for the next morning, we are consciously making decisions that require us to be formed in morals and values that really take the dignity of human life as its starting platform. That's how we should be thinking as Catholics. Am I violating the dignity of human life? If there's a chance I am, our conscience should be telling us, no, don't do it. Okay? Very different from secular society, very different from, for example, the pharmaceutical companies who all they're trying to do is capitalize on progress, on how can we pump this out faster, sooner. And they don't do the research, they don't take the time. And then 10 years later, they put out, you know, especially in the States, when you read, watch the commercials about these lawyers. And if you've been taking product X, Y, and Z, and if you've had symptoms, or has caused death, please come see us. We'll get you a settlement. That's not human dignity. That's not the way the church operates. The church takes the time to do the research first. And even if it's not moving as fast as society, too bad. If human life is in jeopardy, if the dignity of human life is in jeopardy, the church is going to say, hold on a second. We need to think about this. We need to see what the greater impact is. Because even if one life is lost, that's too great a price to pay for progress and for profit. Think about it. It's a really good thing what our church is trying to do for us. It's too bad a lot of us have not tapped into it. Okay, so congratulations for completing this section, and I hope you guys continue with part 2 and part 3 because there's a lot more to learn. Take care.